Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4 Daily. It is Sunday night. I've checked because I thought I literally spent all day thinking it was Saturday, but it's definitely Sunday night. This show is brought to you by Paddy Power, a bookies, a website, and an app. If you gamble, please gamble responsibly, and remember to do so with Paddy Power. On tonight's show, I have Grizz, Keith, and Chris, and they're all going to pick a World 11 in the style of Jamie Carragher's rules. The rules will be explained to you in a couple of minutes, and the three lads have put in some extreme effort to try to get these teams over the line, which we will go through during the course of the show. We'll talk about players from each of the sides that have been put forward, and then ultimately the viewers will get to vote and see how well they'll tell you what the best team is, although Grizz is just going to tell you it's his. Here we go. And here we go. So, during the week or over the last couple of days, Jamie Carragher came out with a World 11, and the rules were simple. Pick 11 players.
Simple.
Well, they are quite simple when you think about it. They are quite simple when you think about it. 11 players, only one from any country. You can't have two from the same country, and none of the players are allowed to have played with each other or for the same club during the entirety of their career. Grizz was straight on it. He was like, yeah, I'd love a go with that. Keith, I think, done about 8 teams, ranging from, the best redheads in the world to the best baldies to the best. He went all out. And Chris had about 8 goes at it until he actually could nail one down. But what we're going to do tonight is we're going to actually talk about these teams. I'll have them up on the screen as we go. And, we'll see how we get on. Grizz, I'm going to start with you. And I'm going to stick your team up on the screen now, okay? So your team has gone up there. So just a quick run through of it. It's all black and gold. Lam, Company, Ramos, Maldini, Gerrard and Roy Keane, Messi, Bergkamp, Mbappe, Drogba. Now looking at the overall of that, there's no player from the same country that I can see. And looking quickly at it, I don't think any of these players have played with each other at any stage or have played for the same club throughout the entirety of their career. Grizz, starting with the goalkeeper, right? And I'll start with everybody's goalkeeper. We go to and fro as we go. But Grizz, you went for Jan Oblak. Is that just to get the country out of the way? And it was easier to get that you didn't have to pick another Atletico, player. Was that just a really easy option for you?
It's a good combination actually with Oblak because you won't find many other sort of world-class elite players from his country. Atletico Madrid, any standouts? No. So I think, and the main thing where you got to establish in these kind of things, for me anyway personally, is you go through the great players that come to your top of your head when you're looking at a position. And Gav, I've probably mentioned this to you in loads in private as well. I love this keeper. I mean, yes, we have got Alisson, and yes, we are Reds, and we love Alisson, etc., etc. Gav, this guy's, in my personal opinion, this guy is just as good. He's an absolute monster, Gav, and that's the first and foremost thing that came in my head. Pick a keeper that is world class, and Oblak just fits and just covers all areas, doesn't he? For me, anyway.
Okay, so, to be honest with you, I didn't do a team. But if I was going to do a team, I was thinking of Peter Schmeichel straight away because didn't have to pick another Danish player. I could get away with not picking another United player, but he has been at Man City, hasn't he? Yeah. He's been at a couple of clubs, but I don't think. I think Peter Schmeichel would have been. It would have been quite an easy way to go, I think, for Peter Schmeichel. Keith, coming to you next, and your team, I'll run through quickly. Your graphic is really impressive. You put a lot of time into it. Top marks, fucking lick arse. You have Jan Oblak as well. You have Wan-Bissaka, which was mind-blowing to me. Matthias de Ligt, Kostas Manolas, Alex Telles, Luka Modric, David Silva, Joshua Kimmich, Kylian Mbappe, Lionel Messi, Sadio Mane. Now again, looking at that
fanboy team.
Yeah, looking at that, nobody plays it for the same country because he's even put the country's jerseys up, which is amazing. And on top of that, I don't see anybody there that's played with each other or played for the same clubs. So I think you're okay. Keith, Jan Oblak, I'll ask you the same thing. Was that just an easy way out for the country?
Well, yeah,
because people are trying to get around this. Sorry, I have to explain this in my head. People are trying to get around this by going, I can get him in and that country's out of the way and it frees me up for this. But you're trying to pick the best 11. Like, would Jan Oblak be down there? Like, would you have picked him? Like, if it was in a free-for-all, you wouldn't have, would you?
Jan Oblak, I agree with Grizz. I think he's up there with Alisson as the best in the world. Now, just a bit of context to my teams. I done 2 teams, and one was retired and one is current. So these are current players, you know what I mean? So people mightn't agree with this team, but I just went for all players that are still playing. Jan Oblak, I think, is a smashing keeper. You could have gone for someone a bit more obscure that might have played for the one team. Like, for example, I don't have any Italians in there, so I probably could have tried to shoehorn some Italian keeper in and then walked around that. But no, I was happy enough. I would have gone with Oblak either way. What I found tough for Oblak, he played for Atletico and he played for Benfica. And then, the tricky bit about this is you can jump on a player that's playing for that current team, but then you're looking, who else did they play for? And then you're losing teams to beat the band. So, yeah, I would have gone Oblak either way, but...
Okay, no worries. You would have went Oblak either way in a World 11 free-for-all. That's fair enough. We get on to your defenders in a minute, and Grizz is the same. Chris, looking at your one when I seen it and I seen the goalkeeper, I thought, hold on, he's thinking really deep into this. You went with Neville Southall.
I did.
Right. Now, I'm not knocking Neville Southall as a goalkeeper, but was that for you a Welsh thing, where you just thought, another Wales player, you only play it for Everton, you'd be grand?
No, because it was my 8th attempt. I think I had Schmeichel, then I went Shiscano Schmeichel because I've got somebody else on my side who played for United. I had Czech, and I went, no, I can't have him because somebody else effectively decided to play for Chelsea. So I was going down the list, and then in the end I went for, as I remember growing up, Southall was brilliant. I mean, he has won 2 league titles. In fact, he's Welsh. There aren't many other Welsh players unless I was going to pick Gareth Bale. So to ourselves, Southall was more of the. I'd got to probably like me 10, and then I went, shit, I need a keeper.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to go through which top keepers I could think of that were still eligible for the rules. Okay. If you asked me to pick a World 11, he probably wouldn't have been my first choice. Yeah, no,
that's what I'm trying to work this out as I go, whether this is actually your World 11 or you're just fitting players in for the laugh. And I don't mean that to you on your own. I definitely mean Grizz and Keith as well. You have Southall, Lamb, Godin, Company, Maldini, Keane, Gerrard, Zidane, Messi, Drogba, Bergkamp. That's a really good side as well, in fairness. Grizz, when we look at your back four, like Maldini, we spoke at length about, when we done the I suppose the best team since 1990. We spoke in depth. Ramos, Company got a mention. Lamb got a mention. There was a big argument over right or left back. But the one Ramos for me is the interesting one in your back four. Not because he's there, because he's won everything that could be won, I think. What do you make of Sergio Ramos, Grizz, as a player? Because I'm going to be honest with you, I find him overrated as a player.
It's a tricky one. Ramos, I find he's very much one of those players, characters, personalities. You either love him or you hate him. There's no in betweens with Ramos. You either think, as you started off by saying, he's literally won every trophy there is to win. He's been playing at the highest level for a number of years now. He's been playing under a variety of world-class coaches, and maybe not so world-class, but every single coach he's played under has selected him and picked him. He can play full-back either side. Obviously, he's left full-back, not much, but, I'm sure he could do a job, on the left side. He was started off as a right-back, and then, very much in the mould of Maldini and, to a lesser extent, Carragher's, Marcus Babbel, started off right back and then eventually matured into a centre half. I say matured loosely because he is a bit of a madman.
Has he got the record for the most red cards?
I get that. I get that. He's a madman. But that's why, you see, the beauty of this team, Chris, right? My team is the balance. And look who he's got on either side of him. He's got Vincent Kompany and Maldini on the other side of him. Two of the calmest, assured leaders that would keep him in check. You know, it's... I think it's a fantastic balance, Gav, to my team.
If I could jump in there, Grizz.
Of course you can, and I know you will. Go on, Keith.
I think it's hard to differentiate between the player and the persona with Sergio Ramos. Excellent player, but a shy bag. Absolute shithouse. But he scored about 100 goals. Like, he scored big goals. I mean, he's an absolutely brilliant player. Brilliant.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult to pick a pleasant, lovely, beautiful human beings 11 as well as being the best players in the world. We know we know the best players in the world. The really, really elite ones all have a nasty streak to him. And of course, we know Ramos, you know, from experience with Liverpool, he's got a nasty streak to him. But, you know, as I said, he's got the perfect personnel alongside him to just calm him down when he has those mad dog moments. But, you know, I think he goes in there for me.
Okay. Kay Brennan on YouTube said he thought it was just that he couldn't be from the same country, same club too. That's very hard, he says. Danny Emery says he's going to throw it out there. VVD is the only Liverpool that makes this side. So many great mids out there to leave out Stevie G. Same with attackers, not the case with centre back.
I have Sadio in mine.
Yeah, you have got Sadio in yours. Keith, coming to yours and just looking at the back four. So Alex Telles from the Brazilian, Costas Manolas, Matthias de Ligt and Wan-Bissaka. Now, Wan-Bissaka is a real wild card for me there. I'm being honest with you. You are definitely...
It's a controversial one, isn't it?
Yeah, and I genuinely don't know what you've done, why you've done it. Manolas we all know about. But Matthias de Ligt, you know, for such a young player, has an interesting career so far. You know, comes up through the ranks at Ajax. He's made captain. He's only 18 years of age. He's an absolute monster. Every top club in Europe seemingly wanted his signature, and he ends up going to Juventus. I don't know. How's he getting on over there? I don't know. Where do you see him come in the next 4 or 5 years? You know, because we spoke about Joe Gomez the other night about where he could go in his career. Where do you see Matthias de Ligt in the next 4 or 5 years?
I think he's going to be amazing. I think the type of player he is and the type of character that he is, you know, to captain the Ajax side and to be the leader of that team at the age of 19 or whatever he was, 20, just goes to show his character. Right, he went to Juventus, didn't have a great season. He's done okay, you know, maybe let's say 7 out of 10. You know, hasn't pulled up any trees, hasn't been atrocious. But I think in 5 years you're going to be looking at one of, if not the best centre back in the world, along with Joe Gomez. Now, my team, I did have Joe Gomez in my team originally, and I took him out because I wanted to get Sadio in. So that sort of, I was scrambling at my defence then, hence why Aaron Wan-Bissaka went in. But Wan-Bissaka is a good player. And again, you have to remember, I'm only doing current players. I'm not taking the easy route and mixing up people. Like, I could have put Blade in Cafe or something there, do you know what I mean? And left Alex Telles out. But I think it's... I'm just going for current players. And I think if you looked at that team, I think Matthias de Ligt could be the best centre-half in the world in the next few years, or one of. I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he's not as good as Trent, to be cleared. He's not, but defensively he's very good. I'd say he's in the top 11 right backs in England, so he must be all right. But yeah, the back, Costas Manolas, I think, is a cracking centre back. I'm looking at my team and I think tasty, quick, very pacey at the back. That's what I'm all about. Pace and strength.
Yeah, you've definitely got pace in the wide areas up front. I think you're lacking a bit of mobility in the midfield, but we'll have a look at that as we go.
All in the brains, mobile in the head.
Chris, look, Chris, we come to you and we look at your back four, Maldini, Kompany, Goldie and Lam. Now Lam, Kompany, Maldini got a big say in the 90s until now. Poll that we done a couple of weeks ago, but Diego Godin didn't really get a look in. What a centre half he is, Chris.
Yeah, he's the ultimate do or die centre half. He is the sort of centre half you want when it's backs against the wall. You need if you need like a 1-0 win. That's what he does. He's the sort of centre half everyone would love, but still got quality in the ball. You know, he's won things with Atletico. He's won things with Uruguay. You know, he's a pretty clever player. You know, not the quickest, and still has a goal in him as well. So I like him. I think him with a confidence. I think he gives you a good balance of an out and out blocker and then a footballing centre back in company. It gives you that sort of balance.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. Danny Emery says you take VVD over De Ligt and Hazard in place of Mane, in his opinion. That's going back to Keith's look as well. Kev O'Sullivan says I've only seen De Ligt a few times, and for him the jury is still out. Could be excellent, but in truth won't be tested in a weak Serie A outside of the top 4 sides.
Yeah, but see, if I was to put Hazard in, I've already got Modric, so Real Madrid.
Yeah,
you know, you can't.
So you've lost him as well.
That's the hard thing. You have to balance all that up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you've lost him as well. That's fair enough. Grizz, going into your midfield, you've gone with a midfield too of Gerrard and Keane. That's a fairly brilliant centre midfield. In fairness to you, I have to give you credit. I don't like usually giving you credit, but I definitely have to give you credit here on this one.
No, I don't like giving myself credit as well.
I know.
Why you guys? What's funny, guys? What's funny?
But Grizz, Gerrard and Keane, 2 excellent players. Like, you know, again, when we done the poll a couple of weeks ago, I don't think Roy Keane got out of the group stages. I'm being honest with you. I think Gerrard flew through it, but it was a Liverpool-based poll.
Yeah,
which is fair enough. So I'm not going to get you to talk about Steven Gerrard. I want you to talk to me about Roy Keane.
Gavin Doyle, I think, and this is going to come, coming from a Liverpool fan, this is going to, to some it may sound bizarre, but I'm not going to get into the tribalism of it all. I think Roy Keane is probably going to go down as one of the best, if not the best, Premier League captain, in history probably. Yeah. You just can't argue against the influence he had on that Man United team throughout that period. He came from Nottingham Forest as a box-to-box. People talk about his sort of in terms of his energy and in terms of sort of his defensive side of his game. But we forget that at Nottingham Forest, he was one of the most outstanding box-to-box central midfielders around at the time. And that's what, Ferguson saw in him to purchase him by him. The guy evolved into a DM, you could say. And I think it's often underestimated his football intelligence. I mean, that team that he played was very attacking. We remember teams that Alex Ferguson picked full of attackers, and you'd think, fucking hell, how are they gonna control this game? How are they gonna sort of, have any sort of balance in this sort of when the other teams attack? Well, it was Roy Keane. It was Roy Keane marshalling the back four. It was Roy Keane marshalling his fellow midfielders. I thought he was a fucking fantastic footballer, Gav. I thought he had it all. He could battle with you. He could outfight you. He'd outthink you. He'd outpsych you. And the kid could play. I don't think he was brilliant technically, but I think he knew his strengths, and he definitely knew his teammates' strengths. And as a captain and as an intelligent player, you always utilize your teammates' strengths. And I think he was very good at that, namely Scholes and Beckham, etc., Giggs. He knew their strengths, he knew his limitations, and he played accordingly, and he played brilliant. Now, alongside Steven Gerrard, who for me was, one of the most complete footballers, you'll ever find. Simple as. I thought, as a combination and as sort of, one Man United Irish player, the best English player, I thought I'd pick them too.
Yeah. As an Irish person speaking about Roy Keane, and as a Liverpool fan speaking about Roy Keane, listen, Grizz is right. Take all the tribalism out of it. Roy Keane was a phenomenal footballer. He starts off in the League of Ireland here with Cove Ramblers, and he's quickly spotted, and he goes to Nottingham Forest, and he's brilliant at Nottingham Forest. Clough loves him. Clough absolutely loves him, and there's talk of Liverpool, there's talk of Blackburn. I think Dalglish is at Blackburn at the time and thinks he has the deal done, and it's railroaded by Alex Ferguson, and he goes into that United side, and you see what he does. I think he joins in the summer of '94, and he's just out of this world. It might be the summer of '93. I can never work out whether he was a United player when he went to the World Cup in '94. I don't think he was, but the thing about me is, and I always laugh when I hear, Makelele and the other fella that was with Leicester, what's his name? Kante. And I wouldn't put Makelele or Kante in the same league as Roy Keane. And I genuinely believe that, because they can have great performances, but nobody went around like Roy Keane, intimidating people, marshalling a team, dragging a team forward, dragging a team back.
The only comparison is Souness.
It may be, but listen, don't get me wrong. Kante and Makelele are both fabulous footballers in their own right, but they are not in the same league as Roy Keane. It's as simple as that. Roy Keane had the lot, and listen, he got a fair few goals in his career as well. Roy Keane, if you look back, I'd be surprised if he has. I'd say he probably has 30 goals in his career. Would he? 30, 40 goals maybe.
Yeah.
I'd say I could be wrong. Someone might look that up, but Roy Keane was just outstanding, and as watching him again for Ireland, he used to drag Irish teams through games and through qualifying groups. I always remember we went away to Holland in a qualifier for the World Cup in 2002, and I think we're 2-0 up, and Holland get it back to 2-2, and everyone's kind of high-fiving, and all we got a draw, and he's fucking disgusted coming off the pitch. He won't shake hands with Mick McCarthy. He won't shake hands with his own players, because he's looking going, that's a disgrace. We shouldn't be letting in 2 goals. Roy Keane was just out of this world for me. Absolutely out of this world. Keith, moving to your midfield, you've gone with a lot of... you've gone with Joshua Kimmich, and you've gone with David Silva, and you've gone with Luka Modric. Luka Modric got a little mention that time in the poll we done. Joshua Kimmich got a little bit of a mention as well. But the one I want to talk to you about is David Silva. And the reason is because when this season ends, David Silva will no longer be a Manchester City player. Now, Liverpool have come up against him in title run-ins. They've come up against him in European Cup games. And, it's easy to, don't like David Silva, fucking Man City, this and the other. But for me, David Silva is a phenomenal player as well. He's just a brilliant player, Keith. There's no other word for it.
Yeah. He's excellent. He really is. He's, there's some footballers, and there's a whole generation of Spanish players in that mould that came through together. Even the Premier League has had Silva, Mata, and Cazorla. But David Silva was the best of that lot. And then I suppose the Spanish, then you're looking at Xavi, Iniesta. They're just artists on the ball. And Suarez didn't matter. He still is. He's a brave player. Give him the ball in tightest of situations and he's going to make something happen. He's not the most prolific, or he's not maybe always going to get the assists, but he's always involved. He's an absolutely wonderful player. And he was, to be honest, he was one of the first players on my list. If I'm being totally honest, I got him in because, again, you're looking at the criteria for picking a team. He's only played for Man City and Valencia, so it was quite an easy in. Do you know what I mean? So Silva, happy enough to get him in.
Yeah, no, I think he's a brilliant player. He's at, isn't it Valencia? He's at before. Is it Valencia?
Valencia, yeah, he came through Valencia.
He comes through Valencia. And
I always lost for a long time.
He was a bit like Mata was for a couple of years, but he at Valencia, I always thought of him someone that played off either side, and then when he arrives at Man City, they just find a spot for him in the middle of the park and they just go, look, you just go and do what you have to do, because he was that good, Chris, moving on to you. You've gone with Keane, Gerrard, and you've got Zidane in there. And we've spoken, there's no point in talking about Gerrard, everyone knows about him. We've spoken about Keane. But Zinedine Zidane, was he a must to get in there for you?
Yeah, I think growing up, he was probably, outside of Gerrard, he's probably my favourite non-Liverpool player. I used to love watching. I think the first Champions League fan I ever really remember watching. Juventus. I just remember watching Serie A when he played for Juventus. He's just mesmerising, the stuff he could do in football. France '98. And again, like most brilliant players, he had a mad streak in him where he just randomly stamped on someone, headbutt someone for no apparent reason. But he had, that goal he scored for Madrid in the Champions League final was just unreal. The volley.
Can I just admit and sort of, confess and say that, Chris's midfield is better than mine in terms of I couldn't fit Zidane in there, and it was an absolute tragedy. I wanted to, but I think Zidane, Gerrard, and Keane probably would make, in any World 11, you could probably put them in any World 11 with rules or without rules, with limitations, without limitations. So just a round of applause for Chris for getting them to be in the same.
We're not actually going to do a round of applause though.
Virtual round of applause.
Maybe next time. But go on.
That midfield I've built is a combination of my favourite non-Liverpool player, which is always Zidane. Gerrard is probably my favourite ever Liverpool player, probably the idol of Liverpool. And I'll be honest, growing up in the 90s when Liverpool were absolute dog shite, Roy Keane was always the player I looked at thinking, I wish that's what we had in our midfield. Yeah, you look at the Spice Boy Liverpool team that we had, 96 and all that sort of stuff, thinking if that team had Roy Keane in the middle, that team probably would have won the league. I think we needed that little bit of nastiness. That basically we need that bit of it. We needed like a grown up. We needed that seriousness in the midfield. Not to disparage your players that we had there, but Roy Keane would have would have took a little bit less nonsense, and to be honest, would have dragged a few players up a level or two. So that's the reason I went for the midfield. It was kind of like the player I wish we had, the player I idolised, and then the player that the foreign player.
No, don't get me wrong.
He's brilliant.
Don't get me wrong. My team smashes your team because we trample all over the Goldin, but and Southwood.
you want to get that Southwood, mate. He fills the goal.
Fair play in midfield. Fair play in midfield.
Well, look, I'm glad Grizz gives you the thumbs up. That's all you need in life, isn't it?
Retire now.
Grizz, I'm going to come back to you, and does the same players have figured in all three teams, in some shape or form, especially up front. So what I want you to do, Grizz, is I want you, your front four is Mbappe, Bergkamp, Messi, Drogba, which is genuinely fucking impressive. But I want you to speak. No, I want you to speak to me about Didier Drogba because, the names cross reference here on these teams. So I'm going to give you all a player to actually talk about. It's a brilliant front four. Like Messi and Mbappe on the other side with Bergkamp and Drogba just wrecking the shop. Is a brilliant. Go on.
Well, I'm surprised you've asked me to speak about Drogba because I thought you were going to ask about they're playing in their right roles as well throughout their career, where they've played most of their best
questions
football.
Over that.
I mean, Bergkamp, and the thing with the beauty of my setup and team is we can play. It's very much like Liverpool currently. We can play and beat you in any game of football in terms of any style. Drogba for me, Gav, very underrated, Gav. I don't think enough people realise the impact and significance of this guy in big games. The best players in the world always rise to the occasion and stand up and sort of take the game by the scruff of this neck in finals, in big games. This guy was the ultimate. I read somewhere about his record, maybe Keith will know. His record in terms of goals in finals is astonishing, Gav.
I think he scored in every one, hasn't he?
Yeah. He scored in every one or something, Gav. Now, people need that to let that sink in. Imagine going into a final and then looking over your shoulder or looking at your teammates and thinking, Didier Drogba's going to score today. Regardless of what happens, we've got one goal guaranteed. And that's what he guaranteed you. He was an absolute beast of a player. Look, not always pretty to the eye, Gav, right? Not always. He wasn't your Van Bastens or he was more in the mold of sort of a physical, robust. But the amount of goals he scored in terms of variety, left foot, right foot, header, he wasn't the quickest, but he was powerful runner of the ball.
Kev O'Sullivan says Mbappe doesn't play off the left, so the talk of you playing everyone in the right position is actually incorrect.
I don't think he's been watching Mbappe. Mbappe's been playing off his left majority of his career. Since Neymar has come into the PSG, they rotate absolutely beautifully. Neymar goes through the middle, Mbappe drifts to the left.
Sure, even for France at the World Cup, Giroud was up front, wasn't he? And Mbappe was playing off the left. I think Mbappe plays. I put him on the right on my team, and I felt like I was cheating.
Kev's flopped there.
Do you think is Kev drunk?
He's not drunk. He's just dropped a clanger there.
Well, you know yourself. The Irish way out of this COVID-19 is definitely can't, as Grizz has told the world on numerous occasions. So maybe that's just the problem.
I think that's the cans talking. Mbappe is the best off the left striker in world football, without doubt. At his best. You got to remember, this is a front three. You won't get a more fluid three behind Drogba than Bergkamp, Messi and Mbappe. You just won't. Okay. In this current format that we've been given by Jamie Carragher himself. You know, you got to remember the rules and regulations. Of course, there's a Maradona missing there somewhere. Of course, there's an R9 missing there. You know, my favorite player. But I had to have my football coach hat on here, Gav, and I had to make sense of this formation, sense of this team. And I think Drogba sort of just, you know, you want to play rough. Drogba can bully your defenders. You know, you want to play football, and then Bergkamp and Messi take over. I think, but as you said, with regards to Drogba, I think he's slightly underrated in terms of what people think of him as a footballer. I mean, namely, you know, he was at Chelsea. You know, he played his best football at Chelsea. You know, a lot of people remember that Chelsea team being very methodical, very mechanical. But, you know, ask Mourinho what he thinks about Drogba and how integral he was to that team.
I always remember his goal past, is it Carragher? Oh. He manages to take it on the chest and volley it in one motion.
Yeah, opening day of the season.
Heartbreaker.
Yeah,
he played really well that game.
It was an opening day of the season, I think. Kev O'Sullivan says no, he plays off the right, and he says sorry Grizzo, but he plays off the right. Neymar plays left, and Cavani goes centrally.
No worries, I'll get some graphs for him with the heat maps and everything.
Grab fucking skin graphs. I think you're getting not for crap. It's not like you to get a graph. I'll
find one.
No, you'll ask someone to get you one.
Thank you.
Same difference. Kay Brennan says he's questioning how prolific Drogba actually was. I think he was fairly prolific, I'm being honest, but I'd like to see his goal scoring record now that you've said it. Danny Emery says you simply can't play an away game with Bergkamp because he's not allowed on planes, or he doesn't want to get on planes. For France,
we still beat most teams with 10 with that team.
Yeah, well, for France, he says Giroud central, Griezmann off the left, Mbappe off the right, says Kevin O'Sullivan. Jesus, already down here.
Stop it, Kev, you're embarrassing yourself.
Drogba got 100 goals in 226 games for Chelsea, so just under 1 in 2. That's not bad, that.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Keith, looking at your front three, you have Kylian Mbappe, you have Lionel Messi, and you have Sadio Mane. Now we speak a lot about Sadio Mane as being a Liverpool podcast. We've just had a massive row about Kylian Mbappe, and Lionel Messi just speaks for himself. But Kylian Mbappe, regardless of where he plays, this fella looks to me, he's possibly the future of football for the next 10 years at least.
Yeah, I love Kylian Mbappe. I can see Kev's point on the chat, like, about where he plays. I think he's a centre forward, but at the moment he'll play off the left or off the right. Either or. I have him on the right on my team, but I just think he's a wonderful player. I think there's something about him over the last year that's maybe turning me off him a little bit. I don't want to get into an assassination of Kylian Mbappe after putting him in my team.
Is it because he crosses his arm when he scores?
No, so I don't mind all that stuff. I don't mind that. There's something about him, and it might be a bit of a French thing. There's a bit of a lot of
oh my God, you're going back to oh my God, just because his hero's Henri, and we've just had a big argument about
I forgot about that.
I see the link now. I see the link.
Nothing to do with Henri, Grizz, nothing to do with him. No, I just think that French team, there's a bit of a I thought they were good. They had a good arrogance going into that World Cup, but now I'm looking at a lot of the players that were, you know, central to that: Griezmann, Pogba, Mbappe, and I don't know. I just hope he doesn't go down the Neymar route. The Neymar route, exactly, and that's exactly it, Chris. I think You know, he's playing with Neymar, and he's a wonderful player. Neymar's a wonderful player as well. You know, he really is. But I don't know. I just hope Mbappe can focus like Ronaldo or like Messi did. You know what I mean? And not sort of get sidetracked with all the shit that comes with it.
On a serious level, I know exactly where Keith's going with this.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's really down to him whether he ends up as a Ronaldinho and Neymar, who were potentially the all-time greats, or he ends up like sort of, you know, the R9s and sort of, you know...
Messi, Ronaldo.
Ronaldo's in terms of... Because this guy has the potential to be on that level, if not already on that level. He's just... the closest thing to, do you know, we often talk about unstoppable. He's the closest thing to any current player that's unstoppable on his day. You just can't stop him.
Can I ask you something, Keith?
Like,
you know, somebody, I think it might have been Kevin Sullivan, makes the point that he has everything as long as he keeps his pace.
Yeah.
We've seen Michael Owen, right? And it's the easiest comparison to make because we've seen a lot of Michael Owen over the years. We've seen him at his absolute best. Is probably his peak, definitely his peak. And Michael Owen explains in interview after interview and podcasts with Jamie Carragher and stuff that when the pace went, he had to adjust his game. Is there enough in Kylian Mbappe, i.e., finishing, technical ability, eye for a pass, you know, all this sort of... Is there enough in his game that if something, like, you know, like a massively badly torn hamstring that takes the pace out of him, is he still... Has he still got every other attribute to go with it to still be one of the greats?
You know, I think he's Michael Owen. I understand a young player, pace, but he's a much better player than Michael Owen. I'd look at him nearly not in the same level, but more like a Ronaldo, an R9 Ronaldo type. You know, who suffered injuries and adjusted his game and still was brilliant after that, but was never the same. And that's what I could see if Mbappe did suffer a bad hamstring, knack or something like that, or a knee injury, I think he'd still have a good career, but not, it'd be a what if. It'd be like Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo, you know what I mean? Like, I could have been this or he could have been that. I think he would be I think he's better than a pure Michael Owen. Do you know what I mean? I think he's better than that.
Yeah. Antico says Mbappe has Madrid written all over him. Kevin Sullivan says his downside is petulance to being taken off. That's interesting, I suppose, because
sort of things,
that's where I think the angle you're coming from, where basically you have to keep the guy's feet on the ground, because literally Nike want to make him the face of Nike. You know, FIFA wants him to make the face of football, and Real Madrid will want him to make the face of Real Madrid at some stage, I presume. So keeping a guy's feet on the ground is quite difficult in those circumstances. But that's where you have to. That's where you need the right people around you. And when you look at the likes of Neymar and others that just didn't have the right people around them, Pogba could be one of those. Balotelli is most certainly one of those, where they had all the natural ability and the people around them just couldn't keep their feet on the ground or keep them in a straight line as very, very young players with a lot of money and a lot of hype and a lot of fame. So Mbappe is just outstanding, you know. Like, I imagine him in a Liverpool side, and I just think, fucking hell. I just imagine taking Firmino, moving him 15 yards deeper and putting Mbappe right through the middle, or Salah through the middle, and Mbappe out right and Mane out left. And you can just forget it, stop playing football, because nothing else is going to happen. Liverpool beating people week in and week out. Kay Brennan says Michael Owen's goal versus Argentina, he was only a kid, outstanding kid, probably only outshined by Rooney as a young English player. I don't know. I think there was a lot of hype around Rooney, but you know, people could see it coming. Whereas Owen just burst on and it was just madness. Although in fairness, you could probably see Owen coming as well, because there was a lot of underage football on the TV at that time. But they were just two different players. Owen was just electrifying. Absolutely electrifying. Pace-wise, was unbelievable. Chris, the last player I want to speak about tonight, and you have Drogba, you have Messi, and you have Bergkamp in your front three. We've already spoken Drogba. We don't need to speak Messi. Enough's being said about him by us and everybody else that talks about football week in and week out. But Dennis Bergkamp, Chris, an interesting one, and a good choice. I think he's a fabulous player. He probably the player that made me not like Arsenal, but tolerate Arsenal. Because you would watch Match of the Day, or you would watch Arsenal play, and some of the stuff he done was outrageous. Like the goal away at Newcastle at the time when he turns, what was the Newcastle defender's name? and he turns them with that flick, and he scores. He scores some brilliant goals.
He's won at Leicester against Casey Keller.
Yeah.
I think also drew in the end, but he sometimes how he controls it and roofs it is brilliant. I fell in love with Bergkamp. I remember being mad into France '98, and I was mad on the Dutch side. I thought Dutch side was fabulous. I was convinced it was going to win the World Cup. And Bergkamp, every time he got the ball, in '98, I was just mesmerised by him. Just what he could do on the ball. Then you obviously had Zidane for France, so it was to me, it was like a perfect World Cup. The goal he scored against Argentina was just sublime.
He does Ayala that day, doesn't he?
He does, yeah, that's what I mean. He did it against some of the elite.
Well, it was Matt Elliott at Leicester, and it was Dabizas, says Antico, at Newcastle, which is a brilliant spot. Well done, it was Dabizas. Yeah. Go on, Chris.
I just loved the way he played. I just thought he was an intelligent player. I just thought he gave Arsenal that bit of craft that they probably need. They had, the exuberance of Ian Wright, who was just a goal machine. But to help them, they just needed that little bit of craft to take them to a next level, which helped them win titles. I also thought it was great. He was brilliant for the Dutch. The criticism is he probably didn't score for his ability. He probably should have scored more than he did. But that's nitpicking. But as an artist, as a footballer to watch, he's one of those footballers where you go, "Oh, brilliant! Bergkamp's playing. I'll sit and watch this." I don't give a shit about Arsenal because Bergkamp's playing. I'll watch it.
It's exactly the same with me. It's exactly the same. Like, I remember these signs for Arsenal. I think it might be in the summer of '95. I don't think Wenger doesn't sign him. Bruce Rioch signs him from Inter Milan. He's having problems at Inter Milan, and he leaves. And it was a real case of, Jesus, Arsenal have gone and spent £7.5 million on a player, and it was the real dawn of spending money for Arsenal. Now it didn't last a hell of a long time, because come 2004, when they have, or 5 or whatever it is, when they build the Emirates, they stopped spending money for about 10 years. But Bergkamp was the catalyst for what they do from, probably 96, 7 up until about 2004. He's the catalyst of it all. You can talk about Petit and Vieira and Henry and Wright and Adams and Keown and whoever else you want to speak about, but Bergkamp was the one that lit the touch paper for Arsenal. And when Wenger comes in, he knows he can build it around Bergkamp. He knows he can do it, because he just knows, regardless of what happened to him at Inter Milan, he's just a phenomenal footballer.
Can I ask Chris how many attempts he's had to build this team?
8.
I've got some breaking news. Tier 1 info, Gav. If you let me share it.
Yeah.
I've just had a look at his team, and I've realised that, Chris, unfortunately, you'll have to have a 9th attempt.
Go on then.
As Godin and Bergkamp played at Inter.
No way.
Oh, of course it did. Of course it did, Inter, didn't he?
Yeah.
Bollocks.
I hate that.
I hate to be that guy.
You fucking love it.
Yeah. Grizz, we all hate you.
I don't fuck about with these games.
Kevin O'Sullivan says Bergkamp was silky, and he had a nasty snide streak, which was brilliant. His goal versus Holland versus Argentina were epic, a Rolls Royce of a player. Kay Brennan says, I love Bergkamp, a touch of class, and lad, he was nasty too, elbows galore. He had that, and I think people liked him for that, because he looked like...
Did he stamp on Didi Hamann? Did he stamp on Hamann in a game?
He stamped on loads of people and elbowed them and all sorts of stuff. It was he was just a brilliant player. So you're going to have to take Godin or Bergkamp out. I presume you're going to go take Godin out, and you're going to have to find yourself a centre half.
Koulibaly, that'll do.
You put Koulibaly in. He hasn't played for anybody in that side, I don't think.
He's played for Napoli.
He's
played for Napoli. He's played for Metz, and he's played for
Ivory Coast. No, not Ivory Coast. Senegal.
But he's played for.
Oh, hold on then.
No,
Genk.
Genk, yeah, well then you're okay. We put that in. Philip Weeper finds it very funny that I think he finds it very funny that Grizz has come out and done that to Chris. Didn't even give him a warning. He just came out and done it on him.
Well, it's not my job to give warnings, and I'm here for the kill.
Yeah.
Trust me, Chris.
I'm in it to win it.
He's gone through my team now as we speak, Chris. Don't worry.
I'll get my own backing you, gobshites. Don't worry.
Of course you will.
Kev O'Sullivan says slip in JJ Okocha off the right, Chris, instead of Bergkamp. But no, I think he's done Koulibaly, so he's cool. Let me see. On that narrow, Stu Mac says at that narrow pitch, a Highbury Bergkamp was supreme. I always remember his assist against Juventus. I'm going to go and look that up because I can't remember.
I just seen it on slow mo the other day for Freddie Lundberg, was it? Unreal. dances
yes.
Paulo
Oh,
Montero
yes.
inside and out, and he's one of the toughest defenders. I was trying to get him into my retired team. Paulo Montero, he's brilliant, and he skins him inside out and flicks one into Freddie Lumbo, gets a blatant great one.
Yeah. Grizz, Avo says Grizz is on a roll again. The chances are he's just going to stick a load of sticky barbecue sauce on a bit of bread when he's finished this to celebrate. Philip Weeper says straight off the top ropes with that from Grizz. It really was. Listen, I'm going to ask you all. It's a very simple question. If you have any random questions, now is your time to throw them in. Go for it. We'll do 5 minutes or so, or 10 minutes. We'll see how we get on. So, Grizz, I'm going to come to you first. So, just to recap on your team, okay? You have Oblak, Maldini, Ramos, Company, Lam, Keane and Gerrard, with Mbappe, Bergkamp, Messi, Drogba. Grizz.
Sorry.
Grizz, don't get excited.
Every time someone reads that team out, I get excited.
Right, so I'm going to ask, it's a simple yes or no. I don't want any more context or anything else. Grizz, do you believe that this is the best team out of the three here tonight?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Keith, I'm going to ask you the same question, and before I do, I'm just going to recap on your side. So it's Jan Oblak, Alex Telles, Kostas Manolas, Matthias de Ligt, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Kimmich, Silva, Modric, Mane, Messi and Mbappe. Do you believe that you have the best side here tonight?
Yep.
You do?
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely off the fucking wall.
Do.
And Chris, people will just have to go with this. So it's Southall, Maldini, Company, Koulibaly, Lam, Keane, Gerrard, Zidane, Messi, Drogba, Bergkamp. Do you believe you have the best side here tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll send you an amended team in a minute.
No worries at all. I don't. We know what you've gone. Kay Brennan says, "Sorry, Keith, but your team comes in last." I think that's really brilliant. So
Disclaimer. I've a retired team that's I'm going to run through it very quickly. Chilivert, Lamb, Lynn, Thiero, Maldini, Schifo, Keane, Gerrard, Drogba, Maradona and Asprilla. I could have put that team in and wiped the floor with them.
It's worse.
Could have wiped the floor with them.
It's just as bad, Keith.
Because I took
My team without
the harder route.
My team without go did it still win.
Do you know what? Keith's gone down. Gav, do you know what it is? Keith, I'll tell you what it is. Keith's a proper football man. He's proper gone down the hipsters route, though. Yeah. He's picked a team
he's
that,
looking for the common vote, isn't he?
Yeah, do you know he's gone down the proper hipster 11? Because that Shilliver shout and Shifo shout, I respect that Shifo shout though, because the Shifo was the Shifo. Shifo was a footballer, but come on, man.
Shilliver scored about 50 goals and he was a goalkeeper.
Great shout.
Let me see. So, random question from Avo. He asks, what cereal is Grizz mixing up at the moment? He also asked about the sticky barbecue sauce, but we leave that for another day. So, Grizz, you're famous for mixing cereals as you go along. What are you mixing at the moment?
At the moment, it's very...
with your big wooden spoon, mate.
It's a very... the question makes sense, especially in times like this in lockdown. So, obviously, sometimes you run out of a certain cereal, whatever, and there's not enough of it. So, you got to combine a couple. At the moment, it's very simple. You know what, though? I'm going to struggle for the names of it. Someone's going to help me out. Oh, they're like chocolate balls.
Yeah. Wheatos.
What are they called? Wheatos. That's the one.
They're Wheatos are chocolate circles.
Hoops. They're hoops.
They're crisps, aren't they?
No, that's hula hoops you're thinking of.
That's hula hoops.
This is getting messy very fast.
Yeah, same thing. All right.
So it's basically chocolate. It's chocolate, like some Cocoa Pops, for argument's sake. Same thing.
No, they're not Cocoa Pops, are they, Gav? They're the bigger balls. Like we got to keep.
Okay, so you're mixing big chocolate balls with
what are they called? Crunchy nut.
Crunchy nut cornflakes.
Lethal. Yeah, lethal. Crunchy nut cornflakes. Yeah, well, everyone's got to have breakfast.
Yeah, but not
even
like
when you're on a
that.
diet.
You might as well just pick a bag of sugar up and.
The difference is I'm not having them at late at night, Gav. I used to have late night cereals, as you know, but I have them for breakfast now, just for that sugar boost, just for that, initial boost to get you through a day of lounging on the sofa.
A day of doing nothing.
Yeah, basically.
Just gotta have an extra bowl here just to get us through.
But I know, you know what? I don't think they're Wheatos, Gav. Someone else has got to come in with a name for them. They're chocolate balls.
Nestle chocolate balls.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
you
You
can't
reckon?
just call
Choco
Nestle
balls.
chocolate balls.
I reckon that's what they're
I've just
called. You
googled
know.
chocolate
can't
balls here.
be.
It comes up. Yeah.
Chris, I think you're onto something.
Stu Mac wants to know.
I think I'm on something. I don't know if I'm onto something.
Stu Mac wants to know: is this Wayne Rooney's diet that Grizz is describing? Let me see. Have any of the lads got a guilty pleasure they want to make public, i.e., like a Justin Bieber on a playlist? Anybody?
Justin Bieber, no.
Got loads, but I'm not sure.
Fucking loads, yeah. to be
Oh, well, then
honest.
share one.
I don't think they're guilty pleasures, you know.
Kay Brennan says he watches Gogglebox, so that's nothing wrong with that. The Gogglebox, the Irish version is deadly anyway. I don't know what the English version is like.
I used to absolutely love Boyzone.
Did you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
To what extent, like, would you have their albums or would you just sing along?
No sing-alongs, and that's a big thing for me. I used to know a lot of their songs by heart. I won't remember any now, so don't tell me to start.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd need a bit of a
Could Chris be the lead singer in your band, mate?
a recap. I'd need a bit of a recap, but I think I could burst out a few lines by next week.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah.
We look forward to it.
I have to be honest with you. Just talking about music and stuff like that. If you want to go and listen to Mariah Carey featuring Old Dirty Bastard, the version of Fantasy is amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. Kay Brennan says.
I'm going to share a quick one. The film of the year is, and it goes straight in as one of the greatest sequels of all time, is Frozen 2, and the soundtrack is amazing.
Uh-huh.
So that's my guilty pleasure there.
Frozen 2.
Frozen 2. It's the best sequel since Grease 2.
Okay.
And which also had a great soundtrack. So
right.
they're my guilty pleasures.
Kay Brennan says, so did Gav. Gav likes the old Boyzone. No, I don't like Boyzone.
You're more of a Westlife.
I wasn't Westlife either. Take That now would sing along to. No problem with Take That. Take That were sound. And they're probably the first band I ever remember. You know when they broke up and there was like kids on the telly crying and all. I thought, what the fuck is going on here? Like literally bringing kids onto morning TV to cry about Take That, breaking up. It was mental. Kev O'Sullivan says Indy Coyle is saying that the medical for Timo Werner is booked in Germany.
Well, where else would it be booked?
Medical is booked in Germany, waiting on his agent's final say. Take it for what it's worth. Who knows? We could use a boost. I love Indy. I think he's playing great. He's absolutely great crack. And as I always say, just have a fucking laugh with Indy. Stop getting so upset. And to be honest with you, the KFC shouts are very, very old at the moment. Kay Brennan says Mariah Carey hero. The song hero, or is she a hero?
Great song.
Yeah, but I don't think she's a hero. I think she's a bit of a gobshite. But that version, that version of Fantasy with ODB in it is brilliant. Any other guilty pleasures, Grizz? Come on, there has to be something. It's just the Boyzone.
Loads, as I've said, but they need editing.
Would they?
Yeah, right now.
Do you want to tell me off air and I'll record it and then edit it and put it out for you?
We'll think about it.
Okay, we should do that one day, shouldn't we? We should just tell each other loads of secrets and then lash it out. Kay Brennan says it is the song Hero. Well, thank God, because she's genuinely not a hero. Carl Torley, of course, hates Mariah Carey's Christmas song. All I Want for Christmas Is You. It kills him. And then he told us, and then we continuously put clips of it into a WhatsApp group every hour or so around Christmas, which didn't go down well.
Psychological welfare, I like that.
Yeah. Avo dunks Mars bars in cups of tea.
What the?
Yeah.
Why not?
I'd jump any chocolate in tea. Any fucking chocolate.
Chocolate biscuit, but not a
Yeah,
Mars.
but you're Irish, innit?
Why not? Just it's fucking chocolate. You're only moistening the outside of it and making it warm, melting it a bit. Kev O'Sullivan says his guilty pleasure is the Marvel films. He could watch them on a loop all day long.
No, that's really a guilty pleasure because they're quite popular, aren't they?
Either the way. Supercar Kieran says High School Musical 1, 2 and 3.
That's
no Frozen. They're no Frozen.
I haven't seen Frozen 2.
I'll get on it.
Count yourself lucky. I've seen it about 15 times now with the little one.
Frozen 2. It's great.
Stu Max says guilty pleasures, European football anthems, Inter squad singing Pazza Inter Amala will brighten up any quarantine. If you want to see Maserati, Zanetti, Crespo sing, put Fade's Live Aid into obscurity. Love that.
The big show.
And you know what? I believe Stu Mac over Freddie Mercury. So listen, I'm going with Stu Mac on that. Melted chocolate. Yeah, it's just melted chocolate. Well, I don't see what the issue is. What's the worst thing you've ever dipped in a cup of tea, Keith? And I know you've dipped mad shit in cups of tea.
Into a cup of tea?
Yeah. Do you ever microwave tea if it's gone too cold?
Yeah, I always do.
After
All the time.
Fucking disgusting.
No, it's lovely.
You should be on a register.
Bang. Half a minute, tea in the microwave.
Like not film on top of when it comes out.
No, half a minute. It's all you need, 30 seconds.
It's fucking wrong.
I'm not a big dunker into tea because now I'm a weirdo. This could be a guilty pleasure. I only drink chai tea. So this comes back. This comes back to me hipster show.
What's chai tea?
Indian spiced tea.
Fuck
it's tea with like cinnamon and all that sort of shit in it. So yeah, I drink chai tea.
Shite tea, not chai tea. Jesus wept.
Jesus, Grizz.
I know where he's coming from, but my dad's a big fan of that, Keith.
Chai tea.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
but your
like,
dad's about fucking 80, Keith. You know.
But going back to the guilty pleasures and going on from Boyzone, I later on, after Boyzone, I think retired or split up or stopped. I think Ronan Keaton went solo, didn't he?
Yeah,
God.
I know where you're going here. Go on.
No, I'm just saying.
I definitely know where you're going. Tell us the name of the song. Go on.
No, I'm just saying. I absolutely adored Ronan Keaton after when he went solo. And
Did
what was
you?
your favourite song?
Eh?
What was your favourite song?
The one that he says nothing at all.
You say it best,
Yeah,
boys. You say
it is best when Ronan Keaton says fucking nothing. To be honest with you,
I literally love the guy. I've got a massive guilty pleasure.
Oh, Ronan Keaton.
My wife hates him because we bought like a Christmas album and it said Fairy Tale of New York, and my wife was all loved that, and it was the Ronan Keating version, not the original. And she was like, "What?"
The Fairy Tale of New York.
He's done a version of that. It's horrendous.
it is terrific.
It's the worst thing I've ever heard. It's horrific.
Grizz, what do you call Fairy Tale of New York? What do you call it, Grizz?
Oh shit! It's
the bells go on.
The bells.
The bells are ringing, isn't it?
The bells are ringing. Yeah. Grizz wanders in around Chris goes, the bells are ringing. What a fucking tune!
Has anyone ever heard that song? The bells are ringing.
We thought it was a Bollywood attempt at fucking some sort of Christmas song. Let me see. Kay Brennan says Ronan Keaton's voice is so annoying. His singing voice, he sings through his nose.
If Ronan's listening, like, we just apologise.
Each to their own, man. I don't get all this Ronan Keaton hate. I don't get it. Well, each to their own. I love the guy.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. Any other guilty pleasures? No, don't think so. I think that's us. We're done. We've given enough weird information out tonight. We've filled that quota, and we're not going to say any more. That's been the Fatback 4 Daily for Sunday night. That's been the World 11s from Grizz, from Keith, and from Chris. We will post the treat so it's up on our Twitter page, and you can decide which one is best. Chris has given me an updated list with Koulibaly in for Golden after Grizz. Just locked him up in a sharpshooter there near the end of the show. But no, he's
wriggled out.
Yeah, he's wriggled out and recovered with Koulibaly. Grizz,
take 9, Chris. Take 9.
Yeah, take 9. Grizz, thanks a million for joining us.
I only took 9.
No problem, Gary.
No problem. Keith, thanks a million. Talk to you soon.
Pleasure as always.
And Chris, I'll talk to you soon, man.
Thanks for having me, mate.
No problem. That's been the Fatback 4 Daily. It's been really good. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for all your questions. And we'll talk to you soon. The club is back tomorrow night, and it's the 2002 World Cup from South Korea and Japan that we're going to do tomorrow night. We'll have some more shows on during the week. And I think me and possibly Grizz are on the football terrace this week at some stage. Are we, Grizz?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
Tuesday.
I think Tuesday night, 7:30. Right, that's it. Talk to you in a bit. Over now.